So who can resist the mystery and allure of a message in a bottle? Well, you guys watching clearly can't, so this is the second part of the series. For centuries, people have written notes and letters, placed them in glass bottles, and tossed them into the sea with the hope that someone, someday, would find the bottle and read their message. There is something kind of romantic about that idea, but most of the stories we've come across are actually quite eerie, and for some, a last-ditch effort to be saved from someone, somewhere, or something. What is up, you guys? Hope you're having an awesome day. I'm your host Eamon Hassan and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to the ocean and discovering the top 10 mysterious messages found in a bottle part 2. Starting us off at number 10 is Father's Day Distress. Curtis Whitson, his 13-year-old son, and his girlfriend Crystal Ramirez went backpacking at the Arroyo Seco River in California for Father's Day weekend back in 2019. Though Whitson was familiar with the Central California coast forest and takes as many as 20 backpacking trips there every year, he didn't expect to find himself trapped between 40-foot rocks and a strong water current. This sounds a lot like 127 hours, but just kind of worse somehow. Whitson and his crew planned to float down the river to their campground, but the currents made the river impassable, and the rope that was in place to help hikers out of that kind of situation was just gone. Once they realized they were stuck, the group used the paper they had on hand to write a message that read, "We are stuck here at the waterfall, get help please," and of course the date, June 15th, 2019. They placed the message in a green water bottle, scratched help into the side, and tossed it over the waterfall. Two unidentified hikers found the message, and the California Highway Patrol rescued the 3 stranded hikers the following day. I guess the only thing mysterious about this one is the fact that Whitson and Ramirez are still looking to identify the hackers who found their message just to thank them for saving their lives. Just imagine in some weird plot twist it was like a ghost that found the bottle. Strange. Coming in at number 9 is PAULA. So back in 2018, an Australian woman discovered the oldest known message in a bottle on some sand dunes in Australia. Tanya Illman discovered a bottle while walking along the beach and picked it up thinking it would be an attractive decoration to place on her bookshelf. To her surprise, her son's girlfriend noticed a rolled up piece of paper secured with a small piece of string inside the bottle. After letting the bottle and note dry out, Illman and her family unrolled the note to find handwriting in German that included information about the location and route of a ship called the PAULA. Now at first, Illman obviously assumed the whole message was a hoax. However, Illman's husband did some research online, and the date from the note corresponded with a program conducted in Germany from 1864 to 1963. Captains would routinely throw bottles in the sea and write down the name of the ship, the date, the precise coordinates, and the travel route. Given the message included this information, the family took the bottle to a maritime museum where a curator determined the message was authentic and had indeed been released as part of the program. The message was roughly 132 years old. This makes it the oldest known message in a bottle, surpassing the previous record of 108 years. At number 8 we have Better Late Than Never. This one's a World War I story involving a message in a bottle from a young British soldier named Private Thomas Hughes. It was 1914, it was the first year in the war, and Hughes was lonely aboard a transport ship. He wrote a letter to his wife, but with no way to mail it to her, he decided to take a chance and stuff the letter into a ginger ale bottle, seal it, and cast it into the English Channel. Private Hughes died 2 days later on a French battlefield, and his wife never received his letter. But that was not the end of the story. Decades later, in 1999, the bottle was found bobbing around in the Thames by a local fisherman. He and some others tried to find Hughes' wife, but it turned out she had passed away 20 years prior. Bit down on your luck there, aren't you, Private Hughes? However, a little more digging produced some good news. It was discovered that Hughes had a daughter who was then an elderly 86-year-old living in New Zealand. She was only 1 year old when she lost her father, but she lived to receive the letter he wrote to her mother all those years ago. His message read, "Dear wife, I'm writing this note on this boat and dropping it into the sea just to see if it will reach you. If it does, sign this envelope on the right hand bottom corner where it says receipt. Put the date and hour of receipt and your name where it says signature, and look after it well. Ta-ta sweet, for the present, your hubby." How cute! I'd die if someone ever did that for me! God, it's 2020 and the standards are low, people. Filling at number 7 slot is Jonathan and Mary. 23-year-old kite surfer Mateja Medic Rezic stumbled across a half-broken bottle while clearing debris from a Croatian beach at the mouth of the Neretva River in the southern Adriatic. Neretva. These words are hard, you guys. Why do I always get stuck with like the Eastern European words? Like... I'm not Eastern European, but I can do a very good Russian accent. Now inside the bottle was a message from Jonathan honoring his promise to write to a woman named Mary. And I can't even get a text back. And here is Jonathan just writing a letter to Mary. Whatever. Now the message was written 28 years beforehand and originated in Nova Scotia, Canada. The message read, "Mary, you really are a great person. I hope we can keep in correspondence. I said I would write, your friend always, Jonathan, Nova Scotia, 1985. The bottle would have had to have traveled approximately 6,000 kilometers across the Atlantic Ocean, entered into the Mediterranean Sea, and then drifted into the Adriatic Sea. It's not known where Mary's from or how she even knew Jonathan, and the real mystery here is why someone would send a message in a bottle in the 80s, like telephones and snail mail totally existed back then. Come on, Jonathan. Clearly you didn't want to reach Mary that bad. Now at number 6 is Queen Elizabeth I. Now I'm sure you guys have seen me host enough historical videos to know that Queen Liz ruled England during the mid to late 16th century. Her long reign was considered the golden age, but it was also known as an age of danger, intrigue, and piracy. Queen Elizabeth I actually encouraged privacy, which was then known as privateering, and even referred to her favourite pirates as sea dogs. It was not uncommon for pirates and other nefarious types to attempt to transmit messages via floating bottle. The Queen considered such messages so important that she created the office of the Royal Uncorker of Ocean Bottles. Like, how the hell is that a real job? The holder of this position was the only person authorized to open discovered floating bottles, and anyone else caught attempting to uncork an ocean bottle would be arrested and charged with capital crime. I guess my question is, what was written in these messages that would warrant someone to be arrested and charged if they read them? Coming in at number 5 is a mother's love, and for those watching who have mommy issues, I apologize. Sometimes due to death or distance, a person is unable to send a message to a loved one in the conventional way. That was the case for a French mother crossing the English Channel on a ferry back in 2002. She had lost her son Maurice when he was only 13 years old, and so in her grief, she sent a teardrop-shaped bottle, some items of children's clothing, and lilies into the sea. The bottle contained the following heartbreaking message: "Forgive me for being so angry at your disappearance. I still think there's some mistake and I keep waiting for God to fix it. Forgive me for not having known how to protect you from death. Forgive me for not having been able to find the words at that terrible moment when you slipped through my fingers." The bottle drifted away from the ferry boat and out of sight and out of mind. However, it was found a few weeks later when two people named Sue Pitot and Karen Lebrach found it on a beach in Kent, England. Captivated, the two women had the letter translated and searched for the letter's author for several years, actually resulting in the publication of Karen's book The Letter in the Bottle, detailing obviously the discovery and search. A few years later, the mother, who remains unnamed, contacted Karen, and the two women finally met in France, so I guess it is a happily ever after. At number 4 is 23 years later. The year was 1990 and Zoe Avrianov was 10 years old when she threw her message in a bottle overboard while she was on holiday, travelling by ferry from Hull, England to Belgium. Her message read, "Dear Finder, my name is Zoe Lemon. Please would you write to me? I would like it a lot. I am 10 years old and I like ballet, playing the flute and the piano. I have a hamster called Sparkle and fish called Speckle." 23 years later, during Christmas of 2013, a letter arrived at Zoe's parents' address from a Dutch couple. It read, "Dear Zoe, yesterday on one of my many walks with my wife along the dikes of Oosterschelde, looking among the debris thrown by the Sea of Embankment, I found a little plastic bottle containing your message." How cute, 10-year-old little Zoe. Filling at number 3 slot is a grandson's connection. Jeff Flood was taking a walk with his partner on 90 Mile Beach in New Zealand one Sunday back in 2012 when he noticed a bottle floating near the beach. Inside the bottle he found a handwritten note dated March 17th, 1936, and it read, "At sea. Would the finder of this bottle kindly forward this note where found, date to under mentioned address." Underneath the note was the name H.E. Hilbrick, 72 Richmond Street, Leederville, Western Australia. This note was written on special stationery marked with a picture of the ship that the note is thought to have come from. The SS Strathnaver, a British Royal Mail ship that carried people between England and Australia. Flood discovered that H.E. Hilbrick had died in the early 1940s, but he was led to Hilbrick's grandson Peter Hilbrick, who was living in Perth. Peter told local media of the discovery, saying, "The only connection I have with my grandfather is now this bottle. That's about all, so it's a fascinating story." That it is, Peter, that it is. Now at number 2 is the Record, a drift bottle released out to sea on June 10th, 1914 by Captain C. Hunter Brown, was recovered by UK fisherman Andrew Leeper almost 98 years later on April 12th, 2012. Brown was a scientist at the Glasgow School of Navigation studying the currents of the North Sea, and the bottle was one of 1,890 released on that fateful day back in 1914. The Glasgow School cast more than 1,889 bottles into the sea, and each of the bottles contained a printed card with instructions describing on how to report the bottle back to the navigation school. It's the former Guinness World Record holder for oldest message in a bottle, and the message inside reads as follows: please state where and when this card was found and then put it in the nearest post office. You will be informed in reply where and when it was set adrift. Our object is to find out the direction of the deep currents of the North Sea. The bottle was discovered 9.38 nautical miles from the position it was originally deployed. That's kind of a fun project. I would want to find a bottle and just send it back just to see when it was sent out as well. And finally, at number 1 is our new world record, ? A message in a bottle tossed in the sea in Germany 101 years ago, believed to be the world's oldest, was presented to the sender's granddaughter. A fisherman pulled the beer bottle with the scribbled message out of the Baltic Sea off the northern city of Kiel in March, according to Holger van Nieuwhof of the International Maritime Museum. Van Nieuwhof said researchers were able to determine based on the address that it was 20-year-old baker's son Richard Platz who threw the bottle in the Baltic Sea while on a hike with a nature appreciation group back in 1913. Although this hasn't been recognized by the Guinness Book of World Records, it definitely surpasses the previous story from number 2 with 101 years at sea. And that is it for today's video, guys. If any of you, wanna, release a message into the sea, you can send it to me. I would like one. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. As always, I'm your host, Ayman Hassan, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye. Today, we're gonna go to the ocean at... Oh, no. Sorry, I have a burp. Sorry about that. It's like in my throat. I'm like more wheezy than usual.
Sorry, take a big breath. There's no rush.
I must take my inhaler. Bottle from a young British soldier. Neretva. Okay. I don't want to say the whole thing again. I don't have a choice, do I? To late 16th century. Yeah, your disappearance. I still think...